8229. That's the number to reach Joe Yakovich and the team at JML Financial Group. Again, it's 215-267-8229, or online it's jmlfinancialgroup.com. That's jmlfinancialgroup.com. So, Joe, let me ask you this before we run out of time this week. We talk about, the importance of having both spouses on the same page when it comes to finances. How often have you seen over the years, though, that maybe when someone sits down with you, that's the first time that a husband and wife have really had that conversation about what their financial picture looks like in the long term?
That's very true. I sit down there and basically when I'm speaking with husband and wife, and most of the time it starts with one or the other, I'm asking questions. I'm asking the questions that I want to find out what their major problems are and what they want to do to fix those problems. And when I'm doing that, if they accept the first appointment, which most of them, they go through the first appointment, and I explain to them I want to put them in the master plan, then I do the Zoom call and they see exactly real time where their money is being, placed, so to speak. Then we use simulation to find out, what the best type of strategy would best work for them, because sometimes, people want to make sure they want to leave a legacy. What's the best way to do that, and that's something we talk to people about. When do they want to stop working? I've had this issue with people all the time. When do you plan on stop working completely? A lot of times people go, no, I'm going to continue to do something, a little side hustle, or keep myself actively involved with, maybe the company I'm working with, or something that I'm not just doing it with a company that, like a Lowe's or Home Depot kind of thing. But again, it gives them some priorities to get out of the house and do some things and and I'm sure I'm using this very casually. The wives want to get the husband out of the house as fast as possible. Go do your thing. But in the same breath, we want to make sure when we sit down with husband and wife, they both are in agreement that the income plan, by protecting their principal and leaving a legacy and paying the least amount of taxes, are the priority, and making sure the last component of all components do not want to be a burden on your family. And that's our belief. We've had that philosophy for many years, and we still today believe that. So that's what we do, and we put that together in the master plan for the people.
If you'd like to learn more about the master plan, you want to get on Joe's calendar, again, we have teammates standing by even on the weekend to get that lined up for you at 215-267-8229. 215-267-8229, or online at jmlfinancialgroup.com. Again, it's jmlfinancialgroup.com. So, Joe, we're very quickly running out of time on this weekend's show, but before we do, my friend, the floor is all yours once again for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. And that wraps up another episode of The Heart of Your Money, where your money works for you, not the other way around. Whether you're savings, investing, or just trying to make sense of the market, remember, knowledge is your greatest asset. If you missed anything or want to dive deeper, head over to our website, jmlfinancialgroup.com, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to, or call 215-267-8229. I'm Joe Yakovich signing off. Until next time, stay smart, stay focused, and as always, let our family help your family.
Howard Capital is a paid sponsor of this radio show.
Joseph Yakovich is an investment advisor representative and registered representative with and offers securities and investment advisory services through Integrity Alliance, LLC, member SIPC. Integrity Wealth is a marketing name for Integrity Alliance, LLC. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. JML Financial Group does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Joseph Yakovich, NPN number 1222562. Fixed annuities are long-term insurance contracts, and there is a surrender charge imposed generally during the first 5 to 7 years that you own the annuity contract. Indexed annuities are insurance contracts that, depending on the contract, may offer a guaranteed annual interest rate and some participation growth, if any, of a stock market index. Such contracts have substantial variation in terms, costs of guarantees, and features, and may cap participation or returns in significant ways. Investors are cautioned to carefully review an indexed annuity for its features, costs, risks, and how the variables are calculated. Any guarantees offered are backed by the financial strength of the insurance company. Surrender charges apply if not held to the end of the term. Withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income, and if taken prior to 59.5, a 10% federal tax penalty.
This program is paid for by JML Financial Group. All opinions or statements expressed on this program are solely those of JML Financial Group or their guests and do not reflect the views of WPHT or Odyssey. Today's program is pre-recorded.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios, powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Barry, Sable, and Friends on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Well, good morning. You have tuned in to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. A great show today, a must listen to, educational show, and I've got two great guests with me today. Yes, we are streaming live on YouTube. Call-in numbers 855-839, a simple 1210. Elections are over in New Jersey, New York, and Virginia. We all unfortunately know the disappointing results. No need for a monologue. Lost, lost, and lost. Says it all, especially in New Jersey. Republicans were outnumbered and outflanked, like the Alamo in Texas. The Alamoers, as I call them, never had a chance. 500,000 more people voted in this election. Almost all somehow voted to the left. My guest in studio, Jack Brangen, and Blake, I guess I would say Prusetsky, if I said it right or wrong. I mess up everybody's name. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, Uncle Barry. How are you?
Good morning, Barry. How are you today?
I'm good, guys. Looking forward to a big win tomorrow night for the Eagles so we could get back on the winning track. Why don't I lead out with you, Jack? You know how I feel. We've spent a lot of time off air discussing what happened. You ran for assembly. You were running. Blake, what were you running for?
I was running for council in Belmar, New Jersey.
And we all came up short. So, Jack, why don't you give me your first impressions?
Well, first of all, I think we are all sort of stunned in a daze because we weren't expecting this.
No.
In the run-up to the election, all of the momentum was with Jack Ciattarelli.
Yes.
And quite frankly, when we were out campaigning, most of the people that we ran into, and we had a variety of folks, I would say eight out of 10, they wanted change. That was the number one word that came out.
Yes.
We want change. Everything is too expensive. This was the message that we got. Now, of course, we ran into some Democrats and whatnot, and they're going to vote Democrat no matter what, blue, no matter who.
Yes.
But this was not the message. When Jack came to South Jersey, he was like a rock star. There was a event there in Haddon Township.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he got into the building, the excitement went up. What happened? We'll walk through all of our ideas and whatnot today, but this was a big balloon that just popped right in our face.
Before I get to Blake, let me ask you a question. You vote down the line, so I want to explain to our listeners what that means.
Right.
So Jack Ciattarelli's name is at the top of the list, and then you go to districts. How many districts are there in New Jersey?
It's 40.
40. So right underneath would be the assembly people or the council people or whatever, right underneath. So what happens is if you basically don't vote for Jack and you vote for Mikey, then they're going to vote right down the line. You don't have a prayer then. Am I correct in saying that as well?
That's right. The reality is people are working. You have moms and dads, pursuing their jobs, trying to keep food on the table. You've got activity with the kids.
Yes.
Frankly, below the governor, I'm not sure even people understand what the assemblyman does in Trenton,
right?
Let alone the commissioners and so on and so forth. They've got other things, right in front of them.
Blake, weigh in.
I'm not afraid to actually admit this, but when I first got involved in all this, I didn't know what the assembly were or what they did. I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I didn't even know how the structure of the state government worked. And then it finally clicked, oh, it's a mirror of how the federal government works.
Right.
So I'm not afraid to admit that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people my age and people younger than me that also don't know as well. So.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, Blake. Off the air, we spent a lot of time discussing what really happened in this election. And one of the comments that was made is that you didn't feel as if the Ciattarelli delegation and its people followed the plan or the motif of Donald Trump. Why don't you explain to us what you mean by that?
So what I think there's a couple of things that happened during this election that I have personally seen from, on the ground being, working as a poll challenger, talking to my poll workers, et cetera, et cetera. I think the main thing, it comes down to two main things. Number one is the outreach to young voters. I think Chitterelli's campaign did not reach out to young voters as much. And what do I mean by that? Jack's entire campaign was about affordability. Make no mistake about it.
Yep.
He was talking about, lowering property taxes, lowering your electric bills, things like that. The problem is that the voters ages 18 to 29, which is my demographic, right? You can't run on lowering property taxes to that demographic when they can't even afford to buy that property.
What a great point, Jack, huh?
Parental rights is another thing, too. Don't get me wrong. I believe parental rights, and I think we need to have it in our school systems, the parents should have full control over what their kids learn and what they don't learn.
Yes.
However, you can't worry about parental rights when people in that age bracket can't afford to have kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a lot of it was putting the cart before the horse. I think a lot of his sentiments went more towards the people that are in their mid to late 30s, early 40s, and seniors. I don't think he targeted that demographic enough. And then on top of that, too, I'm not saying he worked his butt off, because he did work his butt off.
Yes,
and he ran a fantastic campaign. But a lot of the things that he did, for example, was like the diner tour, right? Let me ask you, Uncle Barry, who goes to diners?
Older people.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mikey Sherrill, for all respective purposes, has been going to colleges. I mean, she was recently, right before the election, at Camden County Community College over in Gloucester Township. She was putting herself in positions where there were a lot more younger people.
Jack, let me ask you this much.
That's a great point.
That is a great point.
That is a...
something you and I didn't think about.
That's right. And it seems like the modus operandi of the Republican Party is always, the older generation.
Yes. Well, let me ask you a question, Jack.
Yeah.
When I look at these numbers from 2021, almost 2.6 million people voted. And this year, it's almost 600,000. It would be 575, roughly, thousand voted more. And I think the Democrats have an interesting plan. And Blake mentioned something to me today, and I just shook my head and said, wow, how ingenious is that? Mikey, I should say, went after the Trump delegation and knocked Trump. That was one thing that she did. And on the other hand, if I'm correct in saying, the guy in New York went after affordability. It was kind of like a triangle, Jack. What are your thoughts on that before I ask Blake to describe it better than I just did?
Right. It's an interesting theory.
Yes.
And I would be amazed if the Democrats had that sort of vision. Maybe they do. I would say that it's a possibility.
Before you comment, Blake, we have a caller already. Constance Dessel is on the line.
Yes.
She rang. I probably messed up your name too. Nevertheless, we all know who you are. Constance ran for assembly seat in New Jersey. I guess you were District 5. Am I correct, Constance?
Correct. Yes, it's Constance Ditzel, and Jack was in Legislative District 6, which is the Cherry Hill, Voorhees, Haddonfield group. I was further, and including Camden, with Legislative District 5. And the reason that is worth noting is that I want to jump back on two comments that both Blake and Jack said. Voting down ticket, there was a time when people didn't necessarily all vote down ticket. And I think Blake, because I also called in Belmar, was hoping people would recognize they would elect Blake because of what he was presenting.
Yes.
And that isn't always down ticket. So, and if people know you, and I was trying to call in towns where I was from to point out, look, you know me, this is what I'm for. Of course, I made clear I supported Jack Chitterelli, but I was trying to get them in the other way. I thought, if we only get them on for me, that's something, So there was that angle of we didn't always vote straight down ticket, because I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. And the second thing, the very important thing about appealing to the younger people and the voters, we had Camden. Nelsa Gonzalez, my running mate, understands Camden. She's from Camden. A rah-rah Republican rally isn't going to work. She had some Democrats that were keen on and unhappy with the Democrat Party and that they are not doing anything in Camden. There's schools that keep returning to the same failing schools year after year. You got to go in You can't go in the front door. You have to go in the back door. You can't. You would have a town hall. You might say, let's get together. Let's talk about what's important to Camden. Nilssonite might be there. We actually tried to do something like that. I won't go into detail how it fell apart. But the idea is appealing to them through a Republican rah-rah is just not going to work. You have to talk about the community, what it is they need, you present your ideas, and then they might think, hey, I like these people.
Yeah.
Let
me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Blake. No voter ID in New Jersey. 500,000 more people voted. Most of that was voted to the left and Democrats. I mean, there was a swing at one time when Donald Trump became president. How could a Democrat ever win again? And now it's completely the opposite, Jack, where people are saying, how could a Republican win again? Because we know that with no voter ID, the Democratic Party has favored illegals, immigrants, people not born in the United States, and giving away freebies. How do you combat that, Blake?
So here's what I'm going to say about that. Yes, do we need voter ID? 100%. I agree with that. But there's another issue that a lot of people aren't talking about, and we've seen it with this past election, and it kind of ties into what you had talked about earlier when I said that there was a triangle strategy that the Democrats used across all their elections and not just New Jersey elections. Uncle Barry, I don't know if you know this, but in fiscal year 2023, which is the most recent report that we have, out of the 40.1 million people that are on SNAP, did you know only 14.2% are actually employed?
Wow. Say that again.
Out of the 40.1 million people that are on SNAP, right, only 14.2% were actually employed and still had to be on SNAP because they weren't making ends meet.
Wow.
Which equates to about 5.7 million people.
Jack, before we take a break, why don't you comment to that? I don't even know what to say.
I'd like to comment on the illegal aliens.
Go ahead.
I think there's another point here. Most people in New Jersey are familiar when you log on to the motor vehicle database. No matter what you're doing, renewing your registration, you are prompted to register to vote.
Yep.
And this is called the motor voter system.
Yes.
It's been in place for over 30 years.
Wow.
Now, in that process, there is no definite check whether you are a U.S. citizen or not. There is a box, yes or no, but it's completely on the honesty system.
Constance, hold your thought.
Yeah.
We're up
Yeah,
against
a
a
snap.
break. We're up
Okay.
against a quick break. Before I go, take this break. Time is the only currency you spend without ever knowing the balance. Use it wisely. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Blake, Jack, Constance, all with me. We'll see you on the other side.
$10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257.
Experience casino like never before at Bet365. Spin your way through your favorite games. Check out our awesome table games and face off against a real live dealer. And play exclusive games that you simply can't play anywhere else. New Bet365 players get a 100% deposit match bonus up to $1,000 plus spins. Download the app and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically present in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. T&Cs apply.
Pastor Brad Lacey here, First Baptist Church, Conshohocken. Join us Saturdays for the great message and be blessed. 5 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
You can now tune in to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the iHeartRadio app.
Yes, indeed, we are back. You are listening to the Sunday morning Barry Sable Show with friends in studio. I never get anybody's last name right, so I'll just say Blake, Jack, and Constance is on the line. Constance, why don't you comment? I cut you off before the break. I know you had something to say.
I was actually trying to find a source for this, but I saw online with SNAP benefits was broken down by ethnicity, which has greatly changed since 2023 when the Pew Group did an assessment. But 59% are illegal receiving SNAP benefits. Now, I don't know how they measure that.
Well, we're going to get to that
even
in a
if that's
second.
anywhere close to true,
Yeah, Jack
then your
has
SNAP
some
benefit.
Yeah, Jack has some statistics that he mentioned off air. Can I lead into you with that, Jack, or am I wrong?
Yeah, we had, before the break, we were talking about the motor voter system that everyone anyone who is logged on to the motor vehicle database, no matter why you're there, you are prompted to register for vote. So the thing about this is during that process, it is on the honor system. However, there is no definite check that person that's registering to vote is a U.S. citizen. Now, you have to take this in the backdrop of close to 1 million illegal aliens that have poured into the state of New Jersey. Just about all of them have gone on to the motor vehicle database for something and have that opportunity to register to vote. So my point is this. There is a state voter registration database that I just have a suspicion could be loaded with non-citizens. There is a parallel database that's maintained by the Department of Homeland Security that identifies all illegal aliens that are known in the United States. We need to do a cleansing, a match, to filter out any non-citizens. This is a deep dive audit, and frankly, I think we need to look at the code and make sure everything is kosher in those programs. That has to be done.
Before I ask you to comment to that, I think that the Democrats, I hate to say it, are outsmarting the Republicans. I don't know about the machine, the Dominion machine, so I surely don't want to have any issues with that. People commented that there were issues with that. There was a bomb threat at some locations.
Yeah.
You know, that has something to do with this. People then maybe went home and didn't vote. I have to tell you something. It appears to most people that the Democrats play dirty pool. Now, I know you had some other comments that you want to get to, but why don't we feed into what you are thinking?
So, first off, the Democratic turnout compared to the Republican turnout for Mikey Sherrill was about 400,000 votes. And I'm not saying we don't need voter ID, and I'm not saying that it wasn't illegals, because we do need voter ID and we do need to clean the rolls. But that is such a large margin that Donald Trump and Kash Patel the next day would be on that, like, ridiculous. They would be on top of that. But
are you asking then for Jack to ask for a recount? Is that what you're thinking?
No, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, I hate to say it, but the number is legitimate, and I'll tell you why. Because before the break, I had said earlier that 5.7 million SNAP participants out of 40.1 million were employed. The reason I bring that up is because I've met a lot of people that are on welfare benefits, right? A lot of those people, they're not employed. They don't want to do anything. They just want to collect their paycheck and, sleep all day or whatever the case may be, right? They can't be asked to go out and work, and they can't even be asked to go out and vote. So what do I think happened? Well, I'll give you an example. In my town in Belmar, New Jersey, back in 2021, Jack Ciattarelli came 3 votes away from beating Phil Murphy.
Well,
during this past election cycle, close to almost 1,000 more people voted on the machines, mind you, not mail-in ballots, on the machines this election cycle. In particular, District 1 in Belmar had 168 ballots that were cast for it back in 2021. On the machines at the end of the night, over 400 ballots were cast in that one little area. Wow. And I spoke to both of my poll workers from 2 different districts, and they all told me the same thing. They said everybody and their family, their grandparents from the Section 8 apartments came out in droves to vote on the machines.
Wow.
What does that tell us? That tells us that the SNAP benefits getting halted played a huge part in that. Now, I had mentioned to you about what I believe they did was the triangle strategy. And what do I mean by that? Mikey Sherrill had absolutely no policies whatsoever that she ran on. Her thing was Trump, 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 Trump.
Yep.
Then you had the Senate Democrats. They didn't want to renew the SNAP benefits. And then you had the secret weapon, I like to call him, which is Zohran Mamdani. People are like, well, what does Zohran Mamdani have to do with New Jersey politics? He's running for New York mayor. Well, if you look at the national news, they did nonstop, and it didn't matter if it was CNN or Fox News, they wouldn't stop talking about this guy. Trump wouldn't stop talking about him. And what was his narrative? Affordability, free groceries, free this, free that. So you had this triangle between the Senate Democrats, the Mikey Sherrill campaign, and Zohran Mamdani that basically helped change the narrative of who the Democratic Party was on a national level, because they needed to change that narrative after constantly pushing the culture war and trans issue over the last 8 years, and then finally getting beat in the 2024 election.
Jack,
that's how they pulled it off.
Jack's so smart. Constance, weigh in.
Yeah, I was trying to find the demographics online that I had seen that broke down, but I am not sure they're accurate, so I don't want to quote them. But I do agree with Blake. That is a very interesting statistic. It's also interesting that we witnessed ourselves, at least my running mate did, in Camden, poll workers who were encouraging people how to vote, which is actually a crime.
Yeah.
So to the degree that happened with these swarms of people that came in, because maybe they didn't exactly know how to vote, but if someone comes to the polls and they advise them on what to do, they could be persuaded that way.
Yeah.
And that actually happened. She filed a report.
Jack, I know you're clamming over there.
Well,
say something. Go ahead.
No, I in retrospect, that looks like a very plausible strategy. It's
and not difficult to understand. It's kind of like simple.
Yeah. And I think in New York, the socialists are going to repeat this over and over again. They're going to move from New York into Baltimore and try to sell the same bill of goods.
Yeah. Blake, go ahead.
Well, I can tell you exactly. I can.
Go ahead, Constance. But we'll get to you.
Oh.
Go ahead. We'll get to Blake in a minute. Go ahead, Constance. Let's give the lady a little bit of time. Go ahead, guys.
That's okay. You were talking about the Democrats in the selection of Montgomery. What really cracks me up is that you hear Schumer in the past year or so, what are we doing toward democracy? What are we doing toward democracy? And they keep claiming, but they are electing socialist candidates who openly state it this time around. And Mikey aligned with him. They just use a prettier word. They use the word progressive. This is a ploy over decades to the same thing, but a nicer word. So they're actually wanting socialist policy. This is what they want. But they like to call it democracy because it sounds better.
Yeah. Go ahead. Who was up to bat here? Blake, go ahead.
So to bounce off of what Jack said earlier about doing this all again, they admitted that they were going to do this all again. They literally, the day after the House Minority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, sent a letter to Donald Trump saying, okay, let's talk about renegotiating, the Affordable Care Act and everything like that. And then they had the audacity to say, okay, we want to add a year extension to the tax credits. What happens in a year from now? The midterms. The Democrats, long story short, to put everything together in a nice little package, the Democrats literally starved their voters so that they could come out Election Day in droves and vote for them. That's what they did.
Jack, a young man's point of view. You and I have already hit our home runs. I'd like to think that we're in the Hall of Fame. Here's a guy just entering the league. His different perspective on what's happened is kind of unique, Jack.
Yeah. Let me, just a word of warning now, what they've done here in Jersey. Mm-hmm. And, there's probably a number of reasons why this loss, and I'll just say that database is part of it. Jeff Van Drew is next. The same voters that voted Mikey in, the midterms are coming up, and this is a warning for Jersey that Van Drew's going to be, in the target.
Go ahead, Blake.
Van Drew, I actually think, has a better shot. The one that everyone's worried about right now is Thomas Keene up in the northwest part of New Jersey. Everyone's worried about his seat because a lot of the counties that he represented either went blue or they flipped blue. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are worried about that.
Listen, Constance, we're up against the break, but I want to give you the last 30 seconds before I leave you go today. Tell us your complete thoughts.
Thanks. Well, I can't get them in 30 seconds, but
I'll give you a minute and a half. Go ahead, my dear. You're the best.
We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Blake brought up that he had found that the women, let's talk about the women for a minute.
Yes.
18 to 39-year-old women voted for Mikey. And I had to think about what that meant. I think that comes from two aspects. The women vote was very interesting this time. Your 50 and 60-year-old women are out in the suburbs. And I hope I don't offend anyone, but I guess that's the way it goes. They're somewhat out of touch. The feminists have gotten up and left. They didn't support fairness in women's sports. They kept their mouths shut.
Yep.
The 18 to 39-year-old group, I think there's kind of this mystic of this, this powerful-looking woman who's albeit, she's attractive. She looks strong. And I think just on persona alone, they could vote for her. Also, they lied about Jack wanting to walk back entirely abortion, which was never, ever the case. In fact, his website states 20-week ban. There weren't many discussions on this because it's a tough topic. But he
I
never,
didn't hear much,
ever
Constance.
said to walk that back.
I didn't hear much about abortion. That was a unique topic that, to me, didn't come up. But your thoughts on women are right on the money. When you look at the numbers, 80% or so of women between certain age brackets, I guess 18 to, say, 39, did vote for Mikey. And I have to tell you, that's an astounding number. And I think Blake hit the nail on the head that maybe this campaign just didn't direct enough traffic and thoughts towards the younger people. Your comment before we go, Constance. You have to take a break.
Well, that pertains to that when you're looking at 18 women 18 years to 39. That would be part of the younger contingent.
Yeah, and that's only a piece of the.
That's all part of the picture that Blake's trying to point out. Is where was the pointing towards the younger contingent? And once he got to the diners, you're right. He spoke to the people who were there, which were mostly 50 plus. So he spoke to what they speak, which was correct. Yep. But if there were a few that came out that were younger, they may not have felt they had been heard.
Yeah. Listen, we're up against the break. Constance, thank you so much. I know it's a church day for you. You've given up some of your portion to be with the three of us. I thank you. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We'll be back with Kevin on the other side.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/life.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs HMO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257.
Hey, Hatboro. Tell your smart speaker deployed. 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
Yes, indeedy, we are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends Jack Brangan and Blake Krzeski. I probably say it wrong, but it's close enough. He knows who he is, and so do I. Kevin, you're live on the air with the three of us and Uncle Barry.
Good morning, Uncle Barry. How
Yes,
are
sir.
you?
Thank you for calling in, my friend. What's going on, Kevin?
Not much. I just wanted to remind you that I will be sending you the link for the interview with my mom, who escaped communist East Germany.
Great.
So I lived there. I spent the summer there in 1985. And, you know, it took about a year, 2 years waiting list just to get a car. And it was years worth salaries. And they were the worst cars. They're actually on record, worse than the Yugo. They actually have car clubs, and the car is called the Trabant.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty funny. But so, yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your time yesterday. And we'll catch up soon enough.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thanks for calling in. Jack, so let me go back to you.
Yeah.
What's going on with this government shutdown? I mean, I think we've broken down a little bit what's happened in Jersey. It's a little mystifying. It's always easy to be a Monday morning quarterback.
Right.
And I think that you guys, with Constance as well, made some great points. Let's talk about this shutdown. Why this shutdown is existing, as far as I'm concerned. It's all about left and right power, and the left wants to give funds, Medicare, health care, and everything else to illegals, and Obamacare has not worked well.
No.
I mean, this is all about politics. It's not about the benefit of American people, Jack.
And the Democrats don't seem to care whether people suffer or not. We do, with the SNAP benefits, no matter what you think, ultimately there are families that don't have the food now to put on the table.
Yep.
And so it's gotten to that point. Yet somehow there's messaging that it's the Republicans' fault, even though the Republicans have voted 15, 16, 17 times to reopen just on a continuing resolution.
Yep.
Keep things the way they are. We should be winning this, and it's really not happening.
Yeah. Blake, I want to go on vacation, and I have to tell you the truth. With air traffic control, I don't feel like flying. I just don't feel like flying. I don't feel safe. I mean, am I justified in feeling the way I feel?
I mean, I'll be honest with you right now. After this election and the results that have happened, I don't feel safe living in Jersey either. So I don't blame you when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I don't blame you at all.
Exactly.
A lot of people were talking about leaving Jersey.
Yep.
With results of this election, because, I mean, what has this, what have the voters voted for? They have voted for higher taxes, keep the higher taxes.
Yep.
Before the break, Constance talked about raising the sales tax. Now, during the debates on that specific issue, Jack said flat out, I am not going to raise the sales tax. Mikey Sherrill would not commit.
Yep.
Yet the lie that came out was just the opposite of that Jack was going to raise your sales tax. Somehow the Republicans did not push back on that hard enough.
Yeah,
So-
policies, Blake. I got to tell you the truth. You said off the air, I can't figure out what policy Mikey Sherrill was talking about that I could kind of like feel comfortable about.
No, it was all Trump, 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 Trump. And you know what the scariest part about this entire situation is, Uncle Barry? You look at the numbers that Jack got. Jack got one of the highest Republican turnouts in gubernatorial
100,000
history.
more.
Correct. Yeah. Ron DeSantis was having an interview, I believe it was with Fox News, I forget who it was, where he had stated since 2021, almost, I think it was like 400,000 people from New Jersey left New Jersey and migrated to Florida.
Yep.
And he was still able to pull them numbers out. That's scary between you and me, because more and more people are just going to be leaving to these other states, and who knows where New Jersey is going to be in the next 4 years if the Republican Party doesn't turn around. We got to be – the problem is we need to be New Jersey Republicans. I feel like this election cycle we were acting like Florida Republicans.
Yeah. Jack, I want to read you and Blake something. Joseph Stalin was once a hip, intellectual atheist. We'll replace that word with Muslim for the gentleman we're going to talk about. And Democrat socialists that led protests against the rich and the powerful, rose to power promising equity, then took over private industry, leading to mass poverty and famine, killed 20 million people of his own. Jack, does that sound familiar with what direction we're going in?
It does. And the red line there is taking over private companies. That is when we have switched over to communism.
Yeah. You have hundreds and hundreds of people at Times Square, Muslims praying on their knees and death to America. And we're allowing this to go on. Do you think this could happen in any of the Middle East countries or North Korea, Russia, China, India, Pakistan? Where could this occur except in the United States, Blake?
I don't know how to answer that question, to be brutally honest with you, but you're absolutely right about, everything with Joseph Stalin and the path that we're going down. I mean, Zoran Mamdani straight up came out and said, we're going to have government-controlled grocery stores. We're going to have government control all the properties in New York. And that's straight up the communist economic process. They get rid of all the private corporations. They control everything. And because they're so slow and they can't make decisions extremely quickly, people have to wait. People end up dying. There's famines, et cetera, et cetera. History doesn't repeat. Uncle Barry, but it does unfortunately rhyme.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
It just reminds me the statement from Ronald Reagan about the worst words. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. And that this is
yeah, but he said don't rely on the government.
Yeah,
he said don't rely on the government.
These are the worst words.
Yeah,
maybe this will work in our favor if I hate to say this, but if Manhattan goes down the tubes, and likely we're going to see an influx, a migration, I would think, of Muslims into New York, into Manhattan. To
you see it in Minneapolis, you see it in Portland.
Right. This is going to be the grandmother of Minneapolis.
Go ahead, Blake.
But you see, something a lot of people aren't talking about this whole issue with Zohran Mamdani and the whole communist thing is that this is a reaction. This isn't just like they got up one day and say, we want communism. This is a reaction. I'll tell you what's a reaction to. It's a reaction to the corporatization, the corporatism here in America. I'm not sure if you guys heard recently, but I'm very much big into the tech industry. I'm getting my bachelor's degree in computer science. I'm involved in a lot of stuff as far as that's concerned. A lot of these big tech companies had massive layoffs because of all the money that they got during COVID to boost their stock numbers up on the stock market. And basically, Donald Trump's going out saying the GDP is great, the stock market's doing great, but that doesn't necessarily reflect employment going up or people having better wages, et cetera, et cetera. And this is and because the government has not intervened on the monopolies that are forming and everything else that's going on, well, now the younger generation is looking at, okay, well, we need communism to fight against that.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
I mean, the offer here with the socialists is we're going to give you free stuff. This is the message to people that are hopeless. They don't think they're going to be
100%
be able to get that house.
Too many
whatever.
in this country now, Jack.
Right. But, another big point here that I think Trump is trying to address, we have outsourced in terms of IT. We have outsourced all of our major IT companies
and jobs over into India, frankly, is the largest place. And the key to that also, not only do we outsource, but we have gone the other way. We have brought technicians into the United States by the hundreds of thousands under this H-1B program. And the H-1B program originally was put in place for corporations when they could not find a technician. Yes.
You could not find an American technician to do a job. The H-1B was put into place to go ahead and reach out to India to bring that individual in. Now, this has been abused over the past 20 years, only because you can bring people in at 25% of the cost of an American. So they've brought these folks in, and they're great people, and they're very good technicians. So we've outsourced, and then we've insourced, brought people over. This has been devastating to our young people because these are great paying jobs that we've lost.
Sounds like doom and gloom to me. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Let's take a break so we have some time to close. Looks like Constance called back in. She's got some other things on her mind. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hi, Dawn Stensland here. The kitchen really is the heart of the home. It's where we cook, laugh, and gather with the people we love most. So if your kitchen could use a little magic, now's the perfect time. Kitchen Magic is offering their biggest discount ever, up to 30% off your new kitchen cabinets or refacing project and 50% off your bathroom installation. American-made, tariff-proof, and family-owned. Plus, Kitchen Magic offering interest-free financing for every budget. KitchenMagic.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Keep free speech alive. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Yes, indeedy, we are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. We're trying to break this down, what happened this past week. I think we've done a great job, but there's more to come. Constance, give me your last thoughts.
Give you my final thoughts. You were talking about embracing socialism. I think it's more that people are sneaking up on them. They're more vested in hating Trump than they are seeing what's going on. This is how Hitler snuck into the German people. He took care of them after World War I, and it snuck up on them without knowing. So people hate Trump more than want to see what's going on. Secondly, because I know you need to close, I think you wanted to close off here. This is a related thought. James Madison said, "The advancement and diffusion of knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty." So moving forward, to help people be more knowledgeable of what's going on in our state and what the bills are, some of us in this room, certainly me, are going to be going to Trenton, continuing to follow policies, follow Dissel and Gonzalez State Assembly action on Facebook. We'll keep you apprised.
There you go. Listen, I know you're going to church. Pray, pray, pray. We need it. Thanks for calling in this morning. Blake, go ahead. I know that you're chomping at the bit as well. I love that word, chomping. In regards to what we talked about, in regards to what did you want to comment to?
I think that if as a young person, because I've been hearing a lot of people like the conservative pundits and the older Republicans that have been involved in this for so long, they're talking about you need to listen to young Republicans. We need to listen to young Republicans. Well, I need you to finally listen to young Republicans instead of shutting them out. Here's two things I'm going to give you if you guys want to run on for the next couple of years that the Democrats haven't ran on yet that I think is going to help the Republican message. Number one is with the housing issue. We have hedge funds such as BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Fidelity going around buying single-family homes and jacking up the price for families that or young people that want to go out and buy housing. Start addressing that. Yep. The other thing I think we need to start addressing, and this doesn't get talked about a lot, is we need to overturn Dodge v. Ford. Long story short,
tell us what that is.
Dodge v. Ford, it was Henry Ford basically went and he told his shareholders, he said, okay, we're going to expand greatly our factories. We're going to up the wages of our employees, but the shareholders are going to take a little bit of a hit in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to work out. Well, the Dodge brothers did not like this, and they took Henry Ford to court over this, and the Supreme Court ruled that the companies are on the behest of the shareholders. They need to look out for the shareholders, not necessarily their employees or the people under them. And this has set a dangerous precedent because this has led to basically the stock market being a game of we got to get that number up, we got to get that number up, we got to get that number up.
Yeah.
So if there's two things I suggest that Republicans need to focus on, it's those two things. That's a start for them at least.
But you know what's interesting to me, Jack, not to go down a different rabbit hole, Supreme Court allows Trump to prohibit gender election on passports. Do you realize that our country has become so adverse to different thoughts? The Democrats do not want this to happen, and the Republicans do. If this is how far we've come down the line, how could we agree on anything? Meaning, on passports, you're either a male or a female, Jack. That's it, and the Democrats are fighting that.
Yeah, it's amazing that we're even debating about this. With the results of this election and with Mikey in there, all of the transgender curriculum is going to remain in place, and it's already K-12. So I think we're going to see this, go even further. I think it was Florida banned the dancers coming into the, kindergarten. I don't even think
Transgender stuff and things
I
of that
don't
nature,
even
yes.
think we'll ever get that sort of ban.
Yeah.
So, there's, in addition to that, there's the climate change and things like that. So it's all going to remain in place, and it's non-negotiable now. In
You don't
New
hear
Jersey.
anybody talking about climate change anymore, by the way. Democrats have switched gears pretty good.
That's right.
I mean, they have just different talking points, Blake. And I have to tell you, and I mean this, I don't think the Republicans fight hard enough. I just don't see it. I think that they're getting outthought subliminally in the triangle, like you mentioned, in diners that you mentioned, older people as averse young people.
Right.
There's some interesting concepts there, Blake. I think you hit the nail on the head.
For the past 4 years that I've been involved in Republican politics, the one thing I will tell you that I've always noticed is the Democrats are always leading the Republicans. The Republicans always have to try to catch up to the narrative that the Democrats
agree.
are forming.
They're playing behind.
They don't go and they don't form their own narrative, which is what they need to do. One of the reasons why Trump was so successful was because he was able to form his own narrative, and he was able to fight the Democrats against their narrative that they were trying to form. That's what Republicans need to do.
Yeah, and he had youthful people, Jack. I got to tell you the truth. I think Blake is on to something. He has
agree.
convinced me, and I know he's convinced you.
Yeah, we should have owned the narrative here.
Yeah.
Every issue was on our side, and Mikey came. She not only had had no platform other than hate Trump, but she arrived with baggage. Personal baggage. With
Nobody trusted her. How about that $7 million deal? She didn't even know she made.
The
According
Republicans
to
should have asked why she was not in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is that we were still focused on the cultural war that has been happening over the last 8 years, when the Democrats have already moved on to the next big thing that people are talking about, which is affordability. We weren't on top of it. That's what it boils down to.
What a great thoughts, Jack. I mean, it's nice to hear a youthful thought process as to what happened. And I have to tell you, he hit on points, unfortunately, I just didn't think about, Jack.
The other issue in terms of affordability for young people are the situation with student loans. The student loans are huge. They're not manageable. When we were growing up, yes, there were student loans, but we could see our way out of it, and most people did. I don't know whether that's possible now, and I there's no doubt in my mind that all of the smart financial people in Washington, as the tuitions went up and the loans went up at the same rate, someone had to say, these people are going to be so far deep in the hole here, they're never going to get out. Yet we blew right past that red line, and we put a lot of young people underwater now. These are mortgages. A lot of these are mortgages.
Yeah, with a minute and a half roughly left to go, Blake, let's figure out how are we going to fix anything going forward. When I started this show, it was all about fixing things, and obviously, I bit off more than I could chew. I can't fix anything, and neither can anybody else. But what are your thoughts on fixing New Jersey? Because that's basically what we're talking about today.
I mean, there's a lot of things. That's a huge that's a huge task to
Big guy,
go through in a
big
minute.
question, big guy. Go ahead.
So again, my main thing is I think is housing. We need to stop building rentals. We need to stop building rental apartments. We need to start building homes again. We need to start getting rid of the red tape. We need to start increasing the supply, allowing these younger people to get mortgages, to build equity. I think that's the number one issue, at least for me. And then the other thing too is we need to increase wages, and I'm not talking about increasing the minimum wage because that never works, but bringing actual competition back to the workplace and lowering the threshold to how much. Like, they need so many degrees nowadays. It's not even funny to get a job that starts at like $50,000 a year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Back then, you could just go to your employer and be like, "I want this job. Here's my resume." And you get a $50,000 job a year right off the bat. So,
yeah.
Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, the housing market is really going to be the sort of the bellwether of whether we are bringing prices down. Now, we all see that the gasoline prices are coming down, and
Interest rates have fallen a little bit. That should be a help too.
And the interest rates will come down, but some of the food is coming down. Now, Trump has only been in office for 10 months, and some of this stuff takes time. But I think that housing market is going to be the key issue. That's the one that has to come down.
And you know what's funny too, Blake? I think Trump administration is kind of distracted. Look at all the international affairs that he's had to take care of. Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, bombed Iran, India, Pakistan, Africa. For God's sakes, NATO. He has to spend more than half of his time talking about things outside of the country rather than talking and doing inside of this country. I think the guy walks on water. Sorry, I think he's great. He's doing a great job. Nothing and everything is not perfect, but I think he's done a terrific job in the 9 months he's been there, Blake.
I mean, I agree as well. I just think we need to start worrying about domestic issues now. Like, we really got to start turning towards that. So,
yeah. Your last thoughts. 30 seconds, Jack. 30 seconds, Blake, and we'll say goodbye for the morning.
I think we getting back to New Jersey. I'm going to push for doing a full audit on that database for registered voters. We have had close to 1 million illegal aliens that have come into into New Jersey, and that's a whole other discussion. But I think a lot of them are sitting on that voter database.
Yes. Go ahead.
I feel that younger people are disenfranchised because they believe that opportunity is not there, that all the opportunity was taken away. Benjamin Franklin once said that America is a constitutional republic if you can keep it. And I have to add on to that, America is the land of opportunity if you can keep it.
There you go. I love that. Kurt, I have Tom coming on next weekend from Saturday morning at 9. Give me his last name, how you pronounce it properly. Can you help me out? There you go. I didn't hear it, but as long as our audience heard it, that's all I care about. Yes, we will be on next Sunday at 10 with Tom, who's on Saturday morning on 1210 WPHT. To make a difference in someone's life, you don't have to be brilliant, rich, beautiful, or even perfect.